I actually feel it's based off circumstances. I don't think anybody would choose poverty. I mean, I don't know what kind of choice that would be.
It's definitely like a multi-headed serpent that you're dealing with here. There's not just one answer that you could just like magically, make everything go away with.
I think we need a lot of more people to lift people up and to walk with them through their situations to get them out of poverty.
Does anything else, when you think about such a broad subject like poverty, but does anything else really stand out to you guys?
Well, I think one of the things that's most important for for all of us is to be humble.
Yeah.
Particularly in the sense of recognizing how little we know. One of my favorite analogies, and I don't think it was even used in this context, was my old boss used to say, it's like, it's like two blind men trying to describe an elephant. They're each going to be able to describe for you what they're feeling, okay? But you combine those two descriptions and it's going to look nothing like an elephant, and I think each of us, we know a little bit about poverty based on our experiences and our education, but it's far too complex of an issue for any of us to be able to say, I got a good grasp on it.
Right.
I got it, As a matter of fact, in my teaching, I tell people all the time, if you ever hear somebody, a political pundit or somebody on TV say, poverty is caused by this, and they give you one thing, that's the cause of poverty, I say you can stop listening to them from that point forward because they have no idea what they're talking about. Poverty is far too complex to boil it down to sound bites, to boil it down to one or two causes. And as a result, when we go into conversation about how to help people in generational poverty, we have to keep in mind how complex it is. And when we do, our responses are going to be complex. They're going to be subtle. They're going to be, they're not going to be simple. And simple solutions don't work. And we're not going to be surprised by anything, but we're not going to be surprised when something doesn't work, and we're not going to be surprised when it does work. Well, we might be a little pleasantly surprised when it does, but I have been reading and studying and living. I've been reading and studying about poverty, living among the urban poor for 25 years, and I'm only now beginning to feel like I even have the slightest inkling of what it's like, what it's all about. And what the last 25 years have shown me is how little I know, and so many of, and particularly, and it's one of the challenges sometimes we face with our volunteers, particularly if they're successful in a worldly way. Because if they're successful in a worldly way, then all I got to do is apply what I know from this business over here to these people that I'm mentoring at Shepherd, and they're blown away when it doesn't work, and they're blown away when they aren't received with open arms as my little savior, but it's way too complex for that.
Yeah. I think, while Tim, you say it's being humble, I think it's being humble and also being patient.
Yeah.
There are no quick fixes, and it's a long journey, and I think you have to learn to celebrate the little accomplishments. If it's, my mentee was able to finish the week strong at school, didn't cut one class that week, you have to celebrate that. And if it means say, hey, you've accomplished something, let's go and have an ice cream cone or something. Don't give money, but just make sure there's an incentive there. It could be just ice cream cone. But I think you have to make sure that you understand coming into it, similar to what you said earlier about empowering volunteers. You have to know the expectation is that it's going to take time. There are no quick fixes. You have to be patient long process, and whenever you can see some accomplishment, man, go ahead and celebrate it. Celebrate them. They need to be affirmed on a regular basis because of all of the ills of poverty and how it affects people psychologically. You don't know all the struggles and how it has been it's traumatic for a number of them, right? People that experience poverty. So it's important for them to know that they are important. And so you have to affirm them. And you do it by celebrating those accomplishments, even the little ones.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, I should say at one point in time, I really struggled with that issue. Particularly the sort of celebrations that the middle class wouldn't celebrate much, like kindergarten graduation and sixth grade graduation. And I remember Dr. White, the superintendent of IPS schools, struggling with this a few years ago, that the high school graduation celebrations were becoming, this madhouse of huge families standing up and applauding one kid as he went across. And to many people in the middle class, we see, high school graduation is. Well, it isn't even the bare minimum, of what we expect of our children. The college degree is the minimum, and so we don't even see high school graduation sometimes as something that really needs to be celebrated. But for people who come out of poverty, it does need to be celebrated because those small victories along the way, and for many of them, it's not a small victory.
Right.
But we also have to be careful that we don't allow it to be thought of as the greatest thing that will ever happen.
That's right.
Because this is an important accomplishment for you to have achieved, but you need education beyond high school.
Yeah.
Whether it's an apprenticeship in a trade, whether it's a college, whether it's military, they're going to train you for some career. This is the start of your advanced education, and this is an important step. But it's not the end.
Yeah.
When you were talking, I thought, whenever you do strategic planning with an organization, we've done a couple with Shepherd. One of the pieces of advice you always get is make sure you have small marks along the way that can be celebrated.
Yeah.
And if we're doing that for our organizations, why don't we allow people to do it for their lives? So
Absolutely.
because it keeps morale up.
Yeah.